What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. So, Congress is back here and they have a lot to work on here. And if they don't, we're going to see a massive government shutdown, and millions of American government's employees will lose their jobs, and we will see a lot of repercussions. Take a listen here.
Now that everyone is nearly back on the Hill, what is the top issue Congress needs to address at this point to avoid that government shutdown later this month?
Yeah, they've been away for a month. They are back today. The Senate is back today. The House is not back until next week. And Congress has a lot to do just over the next few weeks. They have September 30th deadlines to fund the government. You see some of these items on the screen. In just a few weeks, the government will shut down unless they agree to some kind of spending measure, whether it's a full appropriations bill. That seems highly unlikely at this point. Both parties appear to be moving toward a stopgap, continuing resolution to avert a shutdown. There's also items on the to-do list to reauthorize the FAA and to pass a new farm bill. There's the question of a Republican impeachment inquiry in the House into President Biden. They appear to be moving closer and closer in that direction. There are, of course, as we just discussed, health concerns swirling about Senator McConnell, as well as the 90-year-old Senator Dianne Feinstein, who insists she is not leaving until her term is up in 2025. And of course, as part of this government funding package, they got to figure out what to do with Ukraine aid and disaster funding.
A lot of important issues there, Sahil. A group of hardline Republicans have vowed to oppose any kind of funding extensions unless certain conditions are made. Who are the lawmakers? What are their specific demands?
Yeah, this is the biggest wild card in Congress in terms of meeting those deadlines, Vicki. The hardliners are a group of several dozen Republicans in the House Freedom Caucus. They're insisting on a whole host of things to be attached to either the government funding bill, a short-term measure, or some other vehicle that it could get through. You see it on the screen there. They want to cut spending. They want various immigration provisions, conservative provisions. They want to address what they call the weaponization of the Justice Department. Some even want to defund the federal and state prosecutors that have secured indictments into President Trump, and they are very resistant to the idea of additional funding to Ukraine. Vicki?
We also have some must-pass health bills that Congress must address here, including massive funding bills for agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the Department of Health and Human Services. The bills are tied up in the House amid disagreements over abortion policies and spending levels, which the Republicans and Democrats never seem to agree on. The Senate is moving ahead to pass its own bipartisan version, starting with a minibus package that includes the FDA, funding for community health centers, and continues to be a sticking point in the Senate. Senator Bernie Sanders, chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, wants a major hike in funding for community health centers, $20 billion a year over the next 5 years, and Republicans remain opposed to his demands. Again, they never seem to agree on anything, so getting this stuff compromised is very difficult. Discussions over community health centers continued during the August recess, but Republican staffers say there has not been a breakthrough. Also, the U.S. federal budget deficit is projected to double this year, despite massive cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and a lot of different cuts. If you've been watching, paying attention, they are cutting a lot of different things, but you can see the headline. Federal budget deficit projected to double this year. Federal budget deficit expected to surge to $2 trillion this year. Wow. It's currently at $32.7 trillion. Yeah, take a listen here.
For maybe 20, 25 years, we've been told that a debt crisis is coming. It's just round the corner. The debt bomb is going to explode because we're borrowing too much and the debt's too high. You think the debt crisis is almost here, don't you?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to be in the next 5 months or the next 5 years, but even Moody's, I mean, they're starting to downgrade banks, and even the larger banks, they're put on the watch list. And there's so much consumer debt. I mean, from a national debt level, we're spending 5.1 billion more than what we're bringing in tax revenue. So, and this is all inflationary, which is going to increase rates to get inflation under control, create more downward pressure on banks across the board. And, eventually, the chickens are going to come home to roost.
I'm not asking for a time frame, but we are moving up the debt crisis, aren't we?
Yes.
And when you couple it with today's
without a doubt.
slightly hotter than expected inflation number at the producer level, this seems to be a significant overhang for the entire market.
It is, and I don't know if the markets have actually priced in, another rate hike. I think we're definitely going to see one in September, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see, one or two more, because inflation is here to stay, and it really has more to do with we cannot get spending under control. And again, the only tool in the tool bag that the feds are using right now is interest rate control, and so that creates more pressure on American families, which is increasing credit card debt, and it hit an all-time high. So again, everything is kind of coming to the surface. I don't know if we've hit that tipping point yet, but we're pretty close.
Should I put fresh money into the market now? If for some reason I liberate some capital, I've got some money on the side here, should I put it into stocks now or a 5% one-year treasury?
Honestly, I like the one-year treasury. We're still in the market. There's a couple sectors that we still like, but in the majority of our portfolios across the board, I like the one-year T-note because it's that risk-off investment.
You say you like a couple of areas. What are they?
Yeah, I like utilities. I really like energy and healthcare. Those three things right now, again, especially going into winter, they're pretty stable. So, and again, we're hedging our bets. I also like a little bit of precious metals right now to hedge against inflation in the U.S. dollar because I think that's in danger as well. But again, that should just be a very small portion of the overall portfolio.
We've had lots of discussion recently about gold. Not much on this program, but in Wall Street generally, I see gold looked at frequently. What proportion of your assets should be in gold? And what kind of gold? Gold bullion, gold coins, gold mining shares, what?
I think it should be, if you're investing in the market, it should be between the mining shares and the gold stocks. But I like legal tender. If you're going to physically hold it, I like legal tender. And it doesn't matter if it's, from the U.S. or Krugerrands or wherever it is, but legal tender, I think, is really important. And, again, it's not so much an investment as it is a storage of value.
Exactly.
So that's really what you have to look at, especially as if we believe inflation is going to continue to grow, and it will if we keep spending, I think it's a great place to store value.
Yes, and you can also bury your gold and keep it away from prying eyes.
Yeah, so maybe the debt crisis has caught up with us. Maybe it is a large factor of these large increases in interest rates and inflation. Maybe that is a large reason on why we're suffering the consequences now. What do you think? Back in 1990, we had about $3 trillion in debt. Now we have $32 trillion plus in debt. And the problem here is that we really have no foreseeable future of this stopping. You've seen the headline there that we're about $2 trillion over the next year of debt. Former President Donald Trump added somewhere between $7 and $8 trillion in 4 years of debt. So we're on. It's a never-ending thing here. Yeah, and if you fast forward here, it won't be long until we're at $50 trillion in debt, and $60 trillion in debt, and $100 trillion in debt. So are we just playing with monopoly money here? That's the thing here is the U.S. can just keep printing money. Are we actually printing monopoly money? Yeah. So So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. I'll keep you up to date here. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos here as well. Click here to see the U.S. just launched an ICBM nuclear missile. And you can see the video footage and what happened here. Or click here to see what Walmart is doing right now, which is absolutely shocking. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.